The San Francisco 49ers were oh so close to appearing in a Super Bowl, just 3 points away from beating the LA Rams. But here we are. No longer do we have a quarterback controversy, right? I mean the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Something's going to happen with that. They're turning this over to Trey Lance. It's a new day.
Yeah, you sit back and wait for somebody to get hurt in training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, the chances of Jimmy Garoppolo showing up at training camp with San Francisco have gone astronomically higher because of the surgery. Now, do I think he ever plays another down for them? No, I do not. So the draft capital probably comes next year, and that's fine. You know, Jimmy's been the good little soldier, and you got very lucky. He has a much different personality than Baker Mayfield.
No first-round draft pick because of the trade to get Trey Lance last year with the Miami Dolphins. So the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft for San Francisco comes in the second round at 61 overall. The post-free agency 7-round mock draft for the San Francisco 49ers begins now. 61 overall. Zion McCollum, cornerback out of Sam Houston State.
I absolutely love this kid. I loved him before. Then he ran a 4.33, and now I absolutely love him. Level of competition is going to be a thing, but he fits this San Francisco scheme perfectly. Long arms, very talented, hyper athletic. He's a little raw, and I mean you would expect that. Struggles in man a little bit right now, but. And he does that thing that small school, longer corners do. Ahmad Gardner did it one time. I'm going to let the guy – I'm going to give the cushion, and then closing speed, I'm going to get there. I put this in San Francisco's defense. I get him a little bit stronger. There's enough athleticism to work with that you could bulk this kid up to 215, and now he becomes terrifying. He's probably a drastically better tackler, which is something he struggles with currently. And now you've got a well-rounded player. This is probably a 1-year projection. He can contribute right away. But in terms of him being a down-in, down-out starter, you're probably a year away. And he strikes me as a San Francisco, the Jets, the teams that run that system. One of them is going to pounce on him and love what they have a year from now.
Laken Tomlinson no longer around for the San Francisco 49ers, so in the draft at the 93rd overall pick, I guess this is the replacement for him, guy out of Wake Forest, Zach Tom.
It's one of my favorite players in this draft. Has played every position on the line, just moves. None of it matters. The biggest knock on him was at tackle. Speed rushers got to him a little bit because his arms aren't quite as long as you would want him to. He's not quite as fast as you would want him to be. But he's fast enough, and he's mobile enough, and he showed that at the Combine. And I think this kid guaranteed he's a first day or a first 2 days pick. Obviously not going to the first round. He's going to go in day 2 at some point. He reminds me a lot of Elgton Jenkins for the Green Bay Packers. You're going to be able to play him anywhere. He will be serviceable at any position on the line. I think he will be a high-end elite zone blocking guard, which is exactly what the San Francisco 49ers will be looking for.
Their second third-round pick comes up at 105, a compensatory selection. Josh Paschal, edge rusher from Kentucky.
He's a little heavy, but then he ran, and I went, well, shit. But he's currently got a little bit of that Derek Barnett in him, of that he's better against the run than he is anything else. I actually think this kid can bulk up and play on the inside, and that might be his path to righteousness in the NFL. Or you might be able to thin him out a little bit and play him on the outside as a rotational guy to begin with. And if you can increase his productivity as a pass rusher, he's already good. There are some people that think he's a 3-4 D end, and I'm not averse to that. I don't think he's as typecast into that as some believe. I think he can play damn near anywhere up and down the line. It just depends on what you're looking for. I love the versatility. I love the scheme versatility. I don't know that he will ever be a high-end pass rusher. The bend and the speed are not necessarily there. But now if that's something you could develop, the raw tools are definitely there. Maybe just a little refining and a mission. This is what we want him to be, and everything we do is going to trend in this direction because he moved around a lot at Kentucky.
In the fourth round, they have the 134th overall selection. Danny Gray, wide receiver, SMU.
There's three kinds of players in that play receiver in this draft. There's the kind that you wish were faster. They're the kind that they're probably fast enough, and then there's real motherfucking fast, which is what Danny Gray is. Danny Greene plays guard for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
I didn't do as much work on this kid originally because Reggie Robertson kind of overshadowed him, and somebody on this channel pointed him out. I did a little more work on him, and now I see him, especially after he ran at the combine, now I see the elite speed. The problem that I have with him is that he is not nearly the deep threat that you would like him to be, so you're going to have to teach him that. I do think he fits into the San Francisco scheme quite nicely. Probably plays out of the slot. He's thin. I would like him to be thicker. I think press is going to mess with him in the NFL. But he's a guy that you just have to generate touches for. Good things happen when the ball's in his hand. The only thing is you're going to have to figure out how to get it in his hand, and, well, we've seen with Deebo Samuel, this team very much knows how to do that.
In the 5th round at 172 overall, Grant Calcaterra, tight end, SMU.
He is first of all, great mustache. He would be on the all-mustache team if I did one for this draft.
Okay.
I have grown to like this kid more and more and more and more, and the comp is getting closer and closer and closer to Mark Andrews the closer to this draft we get, because he reminds me of Mark Andrews. Then he ran, and I went, oh, shit, you're about 0.3 of a second faster than Mark Andrews, which is a great deal. Mm-hmm. Is he ever going to be a great blocker? No. Can he be a great receiver? I think so. Him and Dulcich, Greg Dulcich out of UCLA, are the two tight ends I look at and go, you're not going to go as high as you should, and I think somebody's going to get a hell of a bargain in you. He's a good enough pass blocker. It's in the run game that he becomes a problem. And so you pair him with a George Kittle, and, well, I'm just not going to ask you to do that.
Yeah.
Now you're just a second tight end in those two tight end sets. Look at what the Jets are doing, and obviously being a Jets fan, I'm very well aware of this. The two tight end set is a nice added piece to the Shanahan offense. And I think Grant Calcaterra could be the second side of that.
In the 6th round, the San Francisco 49ers have 3 picks, 2 compensatories that we'll get to in a second. But the first one at 187 overall, Obinna Ezzy, offensive tackle from TCU.
Not a great run blocker, borderline irrelevant against the run because of what he was asked to do in college. He also is one of the definition of why I'm getting less and less fond of the super tall tackles, because he plays too high. Leverage players just absolutely annihilated him at TCU. Now, that being said, he is a house, and he is a rather athletic house. 6'8", 330. To me, he is going to have to play tackle in the league. Probably always going to struggle with speed rushers. But guys this tall, I mean, I could say that about every one of these guys that comes in the league, and there are a shitload of them in this draft. Where he's going to have to learn, and he's a project piece that you bring in as your 7th or 8th offensive lineman, the swing tackle, whatever the case may be, with the intention of, I don't plan on you playing more than 100 snaps this year, damn near regardless of what happens. I'm going to bring you along and teach you how to run this offense. And I think if you do that, you might be surprised at how good he is. There was a lot of natural ability that I saw in film that I don't think TCU took advantage of because he was a square peg in a round hole, which it leads me to believe he's going to be one of the better values in this draft, especially among offensive linemen.
At 221, the first of the 2 compensatory picks, Lebron Ray, defensive tackle from Alabama.
For whatever reason, he fit like me in a G-string at Alabama, and it just never worked. He's hyper-talented. This was a big win recruiting for Alabama when he came in. Mm-hmm. I just never saw it, and he didn't play that much. Definitely a better run defender right now. This is all raw projection. I know this is a super talented player. He was the number 1 player in and I can't remember now what state he came out of, and of course it went away on my screen. Super hyper talented. I just feel like he was a bad fit at Alabama, and I think he knew it. It became pretty obvious as time went on that it was, okay, I am ready to get to the league, and I'm going to make my hay there. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think he got some sound, obviously playing under Nick Saban, you got some sound instruction, which I think he could bring to the league, implement some of those things, and this is just a better scheme fit for him. That happens sometimes. We forget that in college because the kids pick the school, not the school picking the kids. So we forget that sometimes these kids just make a bad decision, and I think LeBron Ray is one of those.
Mm-hmm. At 222, the next pick, Kyron Williams, running back out of Notre Dame.
Speaking of bad decisions, whoever convinced him to run at the combine, he should literally hit them in the dick with a wiffle ball bat every single day for the rest of his life.
What did he run, a 4.8?
4.65.
Oh,
and then it was slower at his it allegedly was slower at his pro day.
That's scary.
But when I watch him, I don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe he doesn't have the blinding breakaway speed. What I do think he can do is what they fell into the trap with Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon translates to a zone, and I said this when they drafted him. You're going to regret that you did that. Elijah Mitchell fits it. He proved it last year. The talent and the raw ability are not what translate in this system. What translates is, can you see hole, hit hole? When the guard or the tackle move out and you've got to make one cut, put your foot in the ground, and go. Can you do that? And I saw Kyron Williams do it a lot. Obviously not in this system. This is total projection of, can you do that when asked? And I believe so. And I believe he can be a very good receiver in this league too. Wasn't necessarily used that way at Notre Dame as much as I would like him to. But there's a lot of raw in this kid. And you know what? This is one of those kids that if I'm super wrong on somebody, it's going to be somebody like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I fell in love with the tape, and basically since the season ended, everything that has happened with Kyron Williams has said, hey, and I don't care. I keep going back to the tape, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I saw it wrong, level of competition, whatever the case may be that got me to the point of I am wrong on this. I am going to die on this shield. I like this kid, and I think he fits in this zone scheme.
Last pick of the draft for San Francisco, another compensatory pick at 263. James Empey, center from BYU.
Another good mustached man. The San Francisco 49ers have the best accumulation of mustached individuals of any draft class in this. James Empey is incredibly raw, which is weird because he played a lot and he's really old.
Mm-hmm.
He will be 26 years old before he plays a game in the NFL.
Yikes.
Mormon Mission with BYU.
Gotcha.
That being said, there are not many people that are 6'4", 300 pounds that can do what he can do. I think he projects as a guard in the NFL in a system like this where you can get him out in space and use the athleticism. That will take away some of the technique deficiency, some of the, their speed or power really fucked with him at BYU. And I don't know that you can bulk him. If you bulk him up, I'm afraid you're going to take away what it is that actually made him draftable. I want him to be nimble. Now, can you, weight room. In the words of Tyler Hansbrough, weight room. Can you do that with him? Absolutely. You just want to keep his weight at about that 300, 305-pound range that he's at now. And I do think he projects more as a guard. He played center at BYU, but I think he projects as a guard in the NFL.
No first-round draft pick for the San Francisco 49ers, but they've got plenty of late capital to be able to add to this team. Some good depth pieces here. I like the class that you put together once again, Flostradamus.
Big fan. San Francisco does well drafting. If you like this class, if you don't like this class, if you think I'm a big ginger-bearded, mulleted, man-bun dipshit, feel free to comment that in the comments. Also, you can throw out your mock drafts. I go through every day in the comments and grade those. And if there's a player you would like to know how they fit with the San Francisco 49ers ahead of the April 28th, 2022 NFL Draft live from Las Vegas. I missed my calling. I could have been an announcer in a strip club.
You did that, didn't you?
I worked a strip club one time, and I went, no, this will get me in trouble, and I need to go away.
Well, we will not be live from Vegas, but we will have live coverage of the entire NFL Draft as we did last year here in the Sportsocracy. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all of our team-by-team content throughout the Draftmas season here. Just 1 month to go, and there will be more mock drafts coming out, and your team will be covered. So hit the subscribe button. Join us live every weekday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. Yep. We always come to you from the Ingles studio. Ingles Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings. We will see you next time.